You're scrolling through fitness content and everyone's obsessing over protein shakes, protein bars, macro tracking apps counting every gram. But here's the thing, you might be tracking the wrong nutrient entirely. What if the macronutrient that could actually transform your health isn't the one plastered on every package at the grocery store? What if it's the one almost no one's getting enough of? This is Better Health Faster. I'm here to break down the science behind what's being called fibermaxxing and why 2026's nutrition research says it deserves your attention. Here's a number that might shock you. Only 5% of Americans meet the recommended daily fiber intake. 5%. That means 95 out of every 100 people aren't getting enough. And fiber doesn't just fill you up. That's the outdated story. New research shows fiber is actually feeding an entire ecosystem living inside you, one that controls inflammation, blood sugar, and maybe even cancer risk. The trend is called fibermaxxing. It's all over social media. But unlike most wellness fads, this one actually has peer-reviewed science backing it up. So let's look at what the research really says. To understand why fiber matters so much, you need to understand what's happening in your gut. Your digestive system isn't just a tube that processes food, it's home to trillions of bacteria. These bacteria, your microbiome, aren't passive passengers, they're active participants in your health, and they need to eat just like you do. Guess what their favorite food source is? Fiber. Specifically, certain types of fiber that your body can't digest on its own. When these fibers reach your gut bacteria, something remarkable happens. The bacteria ferment them, and that fermentation process produces something called short-chain fatty acids. Don't let the technical name fool you. These compounds are incredibly powerful. They're basically molecular messengers. According to Stanford University research, these short-chain fatty acids can actually modulate gene expression. They influence how your cells behave, including whether they proliferate or stay dormant. The implications are huge. Stanford researchers found that these compounds may even help control cancer cell proliferation through something called epigenetic mechanisms. That's your environment shaping how your genes express themselves. Now, before you go buying fiber supplements, and I know some of you are already reaching for your phone, there's a crucial detail you need to understand. Not all fiber works the same way. National Geographic recently published a comprehensive piece on this. The headline said it all. You don't just need more fiber, you need different types. Diversity matters more than total grams. Here's why that matters. Different fiber types interact with your gut in distinct ways. They influence digestion, immunity, and long-term health, each through slightly different pathways. Think about it this way. You wouldn't eat just chicken for protein and call it a day, right? You'd want fish, legumes, eggs, maybe some dairy. The same principle applies to fiber. Let's break down the two main categories. First, there's soluble fiber, found in oats, beans, apples, and citrus fruits. When you eat these, the fiber dissolves in water and forms a gel-like substance in your gut. That gel slows down digestion. It helps regulate blood sugar spikes after meals, and it feeds specific types of gut bacteria that produce those beneficial short-chain fatty acids we talked about. Then there's insoluble fiber, found in whole grains, vegetable skins, and nuts. This type doesn't dissolve. Instead, it adds bulk and helps move everything through your system more efficiently. The Tufts University research from March 2026 suggests an optimal balance, roughly twice as much insoluble as soluble fiber. So, if you're aiming for 30 grams daily, that's about 20 insoluble and 10 soluble. Now, you might be wondering where this fibermaxxing trend actually came from. It didn't emerge from thin air. There's a connection to something you've probably heard about. GLP-1 medications. Ozempic, Wegovy. These drugs have dominated health conversations for the past couple years. They work partly by slowing digestion and increasing satiety. Sound familiar? That's exactly what fiber does naturally. As interest in GLP-1 alternatives has grown, researchers and everyday people have started asking, could fiber achieve similar effects without medication? The evidence suggests it might help, though it's not a replacement. Jennifer Lee, a researcher at Tufts University, put it this way: behavioral or nutritional strategies that can keep someone healthy are very on trend right now. People want options that don't require prescriptions. But here's where I want to pump the brakes a little. The Fibermaxxing trend has also drawn some valid criticism. Like most social media health trends, it can oversimplify complex science. Some experts warn that rapidly increasing fiber intake without adequate hydration can actually cause problems: constipation, bloating, digestive distress. Your gut needs time to adjust. There's also debate about whether fiber supplements can match whole food sources. The research generally says no, whole foods provide a matrix of nutrients and compounds that isolated supplements don't replicate. And then there's the question of optimal amounts. The official guidelines say 22 to 34 grams daily, but some researchers argue higher intakes, 40 grams or more, might provide additional benefits. Others worry about potential downsides at very high intakes, like interference with mineral absorption. The honest answer? The science is still evolving. We don't have all the answers yet, and anyone who tells you otherwise is overselling. What we do know is compelling enough to pay attention to. So let's get into the practical stuff. If you want to optimize your fiber intake, here's what the evidence actually supports. First, aim for 25 to 34 grams of fiber daily from diverse whole food sources, not supplements. The key word here is diverse. Variety matters more than hitting an exact number. Here's what that looks like in practice. Eat vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Every single day, not just one category, all of them in rotation. Each feeds different bacterial populations. Second, and this is crucial, increase your intake gradually. Add about 5 grams per week. Your gut bacteria need time to adapt. Rush it, and you'll regret the bloating and discomfort. Third, drink plenty of water when you increase fiber. Fiber needs fluid to work properly. Without enough water, that fiber just sits there. And that's when you get constipated. Fourth, include both types of fiber intentionally. Soluble sources like oats, beans, and apples. Insoluble sources like whole grain bread, vegetable skins, and nuts. Your gut needs both working together. And here's a bonus tip most people miss. Consider prebiotic-rich foods specifically. Garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus. These contain fibers that especially feed beneficial bacteria. They're like premium fuel for your microbiome. Now I want to address something that might be on your mind. We've talked about fiber potentially helping with cancer risk. That's a serious claim. Let me be careful about what the science actually shows. The Tufts University research identified a connection between low fiber intake and several types of cancer, including colorectal, breast, and prostate. But here's the important nuance. That's correlation, not proven causation. What we can say, populations with higher fiber intakes tend to have lower rates of these cancers, and the mechanism makes biological sense. Those short-chain fatty acids appear to influence cell proliferation in protective ways. The evidence here is promising, but it's not a prescription. What works in controlled studies may need adjusting for your specific situation. That's a conversation for you and your healthcare provider. Here's another angle worth considering. The Carey Health and Nutrition Institute surveyed nutrition experts, and 69% chose the Mediterranean diet as the most effective approach for long-term health. Guess what that diet emphasizes? Plants, legumes, whole grains, fiber-rich foods. It's not just about fiber in isolation. It's about an overall eating pattern where fiber-rich foods form the foundation. The Mediterranean diet doesn't count fiber grams. It just naturally delivers them through its traditional foods. This brings us back to why diversity matters so much. Your grandmother didn't read nutrition labels. She didn't track macros. She just ate a variety of whole foods, and the fiber took care of itself. So here's my challenge to you. Instead of buying a fiber supplement and calling it a day, try adding one new fiber-rich food to your rotation each week. A new bean variety, a different whole grain, a vegetable you've never cooked before. Think of it as an experiment with your own microbiome. Each new food introduces your gut bacteria to different fiber types. Over time, you're building a more diverse, resilient ecosystem inside you. And that diversity, that's what the research keeps coming back to. It's not about hitting a magic number on an app. It's about feeding the full range of beneficial bacteria that support your health. The National Geographic piece made an important point. Different fiber types interact with your gut in distinct ways. Fermentable fibers feed bacteria directly. Bulking fibers support healthy transit time. Prebiotic fibers promote specific beneficial species. When you eat a variety of fiber sources, you're covering all these bases simultaneously. It's like cross-training for your gut. Working different systems keeps everything stronger. If you're finding this helpful, by the way, consider hitting subscribe. We put out evidence-based health content like this regularly, and it helps us reach more people who are looking for science instead of fads. Alright, let's bring this all together. The Fibermaxxing trend might have a silly name, but the underlying science is serious, and it points to something nutrition researchers have been saying for decades. Most Americans aren't eating enough fiber. Only 5% hit the recommended intake. And it's not just about constipation or fullness. It's about feeding a microbial ecosystem that influences inflammation, blood sugar, and potentially cancer risk. The compounds your gut bacteria produce when they ferment fiber, those short-chain fatty acids, can modulate gene expression and influence cell behavior throughout your body. This isn't fringe science. It's published research from major universities. But the solution isn't to rush out and buy fiber pills. The research consistently favors whole food sources over supplements, and it favors variety over volume. So start simple. Add more plants to every meal. Rotate your grains and legumes. Keep vegetable skins on when you can, and give your gut time to adjust as you increase your intake. And here's the important caveat. Everyone's body responds differently. You should talk to your doctor before making significant changes, especially if you're on medication or have existing digestive conditions. The pattern the research points to is worth paying attention to, but it's not a magic solution. Nothing in nutrition is. It's one piece of a larger puzzle that includes sleep, movement, stress, and a dozen other factors. That's the science behind Fibermaxxing. Not a trend you need to follow religiously, but evidence worth understanding. Eat more plants. Eat different kinds. Let your gut do the rest. This has been Better Health Faster. If you want more evidence-based health content, we're here every week. No fads, no hype. Just research you can actually use. Until next time, eat your fiber. The diverse kind. Your gut bacteria will thank you.